In a matter of days, the Democrat-controlled U.S. House of Representatives is expected to vote to impeach President Donald Trump. If and when that happens, Trump will become just the third American president in history to be impeached. Our Washington Bureau Chief Jackson Proskow joins us from Washington. Jackson, how is this all going to unfold?
Well, Robin, by as early as Wednesday, President Trump could be joining the ranks of Bill Clinton and former President Andrew Johnson as a president who's been impeached. Democrats have just revealed their final 650-page report, which lays out the 2 articles of impeachment against Trump. That report argues that Trump betrayed the nation, and it also alleges that he committed multiple federal crimes. It seems pretty certain at this point that the House is going to pass those articles, setting up a January trial in the Senate, and that's where things get tricky, because Democrats now want to call new witnesses to that trial, people we haven't heard from yet, like former National Security Advisor John Bolton and the White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, people who knew about that scheme to pressure Ukraine to launch an investigation into Trump's rival, Joe Biden.
The president and House Republicans have resisted letting all the evidence and facts come out. The president hasn't offered a single exculpatory bit of evidence that refutes what's in the House impeachment charges. They have not refuted them.
Jackson, what are the odds that we'll hear from new witnesses before this is over?
Well, if everything proceeds along party lines like it has so far, it seems like Republicans will simply try and shuffle this whole thing through the Senate as quickly as possible to acquit President Trump. That means no new witnesses, just sort of a rehash of the facts we've already heard. It also means Trump is very unlikely to be removed from office. The calculation by Republicans is that there's simply no appetite for this among the American public. But it's worth pointing out, polls out just this week show there's still a continued divide. Robin, 50% support Trump's impeachment and removal. 50% also oppose it.
The drama in D.C. Jackson Proskow in Washington. There's no escaping the headlines surrounding the impeachment inquiry into Donald Trump. And our neighbors to the south are feeling the political tension the most. In one corner of the U.S., there are varying thoughts. It's where the borders of West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania all meet up. Mike Armstrong visited the Republican state, the Democratic state, and the swing state during the 2016 election. 3 years later, he's back and discovered all 3 states share at least one thing in common.
It's absolutely something you want to avoid. But it's hard not to call this town, Friendsville, Maryland, well, friendly.
Yeah.
Which is lucky because right now, that's a bit of a challenge.
I mean, it's very hard to really avoid the topic of politics anymore a lot.
Talking politics these days means talking Trump. Rose Talbot has seen some presidents in her lifetime, but never like this.
Well, he gets more attention than any of them.
Ever?
Ever.
Yeah, get her out.
You can call it overload, fatigue, whatever you want. But having the president in the news every day now has even Trump supporters feeling it.
Yes, he does get a little bit overexposed. That would be one of my criticisms of him. He's too much in your face.
And you don't like to criticize him?
But I like his policies.
Just across the state line, Morgantown, West Virginia, one of the most pro-Trump states in the country. It's also a place where people are avoiding conversations about politics.
I'm surprised America's still here.
Because it tends to be pointless.
We will not meet in the middle on anything whatsoever, so shut up.
Now, a poll earlier this year found a huge percentage of Americans agree on one thing. Political debate is getting less respectful. 85% of the country says the tone is getting worse.
Yeah, I get tired of hearing about it, honestly.
It is different now.
Good morning.
Well, 55% pin the blame on President Trump. If things are acrimonious, some say it's a strategy.
They want his opponents, mainly Democrats, to say, you know, there's just so much going on, it's so exhausting, I can't do anything to help.
Just across another state line, Uniontown, Pennsylvania. It's a swing state and another place where debate can be delicate.
I could care less what they say. It's in my heart who I'm going to vote for.
There may be a new skill evolving out of this trying time in U.S. politics, a sort of sixth sense.
It's not hard to pick out who's going to have an issue and who's not.
Over and over, people told us they can tell almost instantly when they meet someone if their politics align and whether or not a conversation is a good idea.
Just avoid it.
Mike Armstrong, Global News, Uniontown, Pennsylvania.